Now, this time of year, let's face it, is a bit like exam fever, as in colleges and schools all around the country, students are concentrating on their GCSEs, their A-levels, and the standard assessment test, which actually starts at the age of 7. Now, for many, the pressure is immense, and with increased competition in the workplace, exam results are more important than ever. Recently, it was very unfortunate. A boy of 12 killed himself after receiving a bad personal report from his teacher. Now, it's clearly a very, very worrying time for parents. And here now, with advice on how to help your child cope, is Professor Ted Ragg from Exeter University.
In some cases, yes. I mean, there's still a lot of good work around and a lot of relaxed work. I mean, I go into a lot of schools and teachers work very hard to keep it informal and to reduce the pressures on children. And there's a lot of fun still in schools. But it's true, there are a lot of additional things now, and it depends whether certain children are having to do all of them. I mean, if there's an after-school club and you want to belong to it, fine, that's not so much a source of pressure as pleasure. And the same with vacation courses. I mean, I went to a number of the summer schools, and children were having a great time doing a variety of things, ranging from sports right through to literacy and preparation for exams. But they were well done, and they really enjoyed them. But of course, if you have to do them all, and it's against your wishes, and it appears to be very dreary and a drudge, then that's a different matter.
I think also it's the expectancy these days, isn't it? I mean, for example, when I was growing up and going to school, not so many people got into university then anyway. So the expectancy, in a way, was lower. Nowadays, it's all things for all people, which is great. But I think a lot of parents who didn't have the opportunity saying, I want my child to go to university, I want you to do well. So it's that living out of your own life through your child. So it is big pressure.
Well, it's transmitted, though, as well, to the pupils themselves directly. I mean, I had a colleague at school who said that their child come to them and said they wanted to do an after-school club, as Ted was saying, in basketball, which they really wanted to do, but there was a SATS booster lesson at the same time, and they felt that really they had to go to the SATS booster lesson and not go to the basketball. That's a terrible thing, I think, to be putting on 10-year-olds, and especially if you're going to take it further down. I think it warps education, which is about the whole person.
Well, Ted's going to be taking calls today on revision. So let's just give people an idea of the kind of things that maybe they'd like to call in about in terms of the right way for a child to study for an exam.
Well, nowadays, of course, it's not just the tests at 7, 11 and 14, but there's a lot of pressure on people doing GCSEs, where they might be taking 10 subjects, sometimes even more, then A-levels, which, of course, are the passport to university and a number of the professions. And now we've got about a third of people going on to university. So we're not talking about a very small percentage, we're talking about a lot of people. So the issues are, what can parents do, for example? I mean, it is a time when people want to do their best. How can parents support them? So perhaps someone's got a child and they'd like to know how they can help their own child. Perhaps there's a student who's about to revise now for GCSEs because schools have just broken up and in a few weeks' time they'll be doing them, who's thinking, how on earth do I get my head around these 10 subjects?
How do you get my parents off my back?
Yeah, it might well be that as well, yes.
By the way, I'd just like to thank you very much indeed, but I also thought that with the names of Ted and Hank, that you sounded like a sort of dueling guitars.
We're a country and western
team.
We're going to work on it.
It's a Ted and Hank show.
Rival band.
If we can go work with Reba, I'll be there.
Exactly, I think you do very well. Anyway, thank you both very much indeed for joining us. See you later.